What's going on, Legion fans? Welcome to our final episode of the Loki podcast.
Say it ain't so!
It is the best podcast on the Loki Disney Plus show out there.
It's over!
We are very disappointed, though.
It's over!
That is not disappointed in the episode. We loved
the episode
but
was wonderful.
we are disappointed that we won't see
This
Loki
is the type
again.
of episode I was looking for.
Well, we won't see Loki again for season 1, but we will see him again for season 2.
That's right. They announced that he will be
great.
back for a season 2.
Yeah.
Well, one of the Lokis. Some Loki is going to
our
be
Loki
back.
will
Our
be
Loki
back.
is going to be back.
And hopefully we'll find our Mobius.
Yeah.
Because, oh, man, Owen Wilson just...
Disappointing at the end to really feel that angst of not being our Mobius.
I got a pit in my stomach when I realized he wasn't recognizing him.
Right,
Oh.
exactly.
All right, we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we need to slow it down.
This episode had... For having probably the least amount of action in the entire series.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
had the most amount of info.
There was a lot of weight.
Yeah.
There was a lot of conversation. There was a lot of digging in deep into the characters and their psyches and their backgrounds. It was a lot.
But, it didn't drag.
It didn't drag at all.
It didn't feel like we were watching 40 minutes of talking.
Well, no, and I think that's
incredible.
It's a credit to the fact that they had us on the edge of our seats.
Yes, they did.
They had us on the edge of our seats. They had you building that suspense. Until the reveal of who was behind everything, and then at that point there was this exhale.
Yeah.
This sigh of relief. But then it wasn't over.
Yeah.
That was early.
Yo, I got to say, though, I have to say, for those of you guys who have been following our podcast on this and our tweets about this, and Tara Strong, we love you so much.
Yes.
And we
thought
my
gosh.
There was a moment.
There was a singular moment where I fully
it
freaked
made me
out.
jump. It made me jump.
Miss Minutes showing up in the Citadel at the end.
Creepiest Miss Minutes face ever.
Oh, yeah. She was
terrifying.
Yeah.
I was like, there it is.
Yeah,
she's the big bad.
She's the big bad. I outright thought, and I think that's an homage to the creators. They were just like, people really believe she's in control.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was right there. I was like, she has the power. It is her. Let's go.
When she appeared, I looked at Jamie. I was like, we were right.
Yep.
And I was like, probably not, though.
Probably not.
Because then, the first phrase she says is she talks about him. And and then she mentions he who remains, and she starts walking through that.
Yep.
But she does know more than pretty much every TVA operative.
Not pretty much. She knows more than everyone in the TVA, and she's not letting people in on what she knows.
Right, and she only gives the information that he who remains tells her to give.
She kind of plays this role of being like an annoying, task manager.
Yeah,
really is what she is. She's a more advanced Siri.
Have you seen people have likened her to Clippy?
Yeah.
From Microsoft Word.
Like they've fallen in love with
TVA
Clippy.
Yeah. It's like
they've fallen in love together. I retweeted that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, but people have likened her to that, and the reality is she knows more than all of them there.
And
she's got all the information.
From what it seems like is that she was created when he started the TVA. So she's been through it. She's been through the whole thing.
She's been there
with
before everyone.
Yeah.
So she pretends and puts on these airs of being like much less than what she is. And the truth of the matter is she may not be the big bad, but she's a lot more than what she let on.
Yeah, she's the henchman. She's right there.
She's the right hand clock. That's right. The right-hand clock.
Yeah. Well, they get into the first of all, the episode starts out really strangely.
Right.
So it starts out with a whole bunch of clips from the heroes and major events in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
We hear Black Panther. We hear Captain America. We hear Star-Lord, Iron Man. Right. And we also, and then I don't know about. So I turned on the closed captioning for that part, and there's also a bunch of, you would never know it unless you're like a really big history buff. And I used to teach history, and I didn't even know a lot of these quotes. But there were quotes from like famous people like Nelson Mandela, and there are quotes from all these different people through history, like through actual history.
It's crazy.
And it was
crazy what they did
with the MCU people. So really, and like music from different time periods. It's just very cool as they traveled to the end of time. It was it was a neat like opening. It was
traveled
through
the cosmos. Really, is what it was.
Yeah.
So we've got the MCU, but like that's just the MCU. That's just the universe.
Yeah.
They like were alluding to everything. Yeah. Everything is contained within this loop around the Citadel.
Yeah.
And so that's our opening scene, which really gives you the gravity of what they're stepping into, the two Lokis together.
Yeah, and as usual with MCU productions, they dig deep on source material.
Right.
And now this show, and I feel like a lot of the TV shows have done this where it's like they grab kind of frameworks of arcs and then they just do their own thing in it. And we kind of explore that sandbox. And
there's a lot in here that we're going to talk about, but you've done some research on that.
Yeah.
Pulls from a lot of different things.
The deep archives,
man.
Man.
We're
like
going
real deep.
We're going real deep. So let's start digging in. So we get into the Citadel.
Yep.
We come through the doors. We go by Miss Minutes.
Yeah.
And the first thing we see are 4 statues of what we assume are timekeepers.
Yeah, they look like the same
One
robes.
has been destroyed.
Yes.
So what does that allude to? Because I was like, first thing off, I was like, oh, there's 4.
Yeah.
So like,
why is the fourth one
was the fourth
broken?
The one that we're about to meet? Why is that one destroyed? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I had to do some extra digging in this. So I knew some things about the Timekeepers.
Yeah.
Not a huge amount, but I dug into actually the person who created the Timekeepers in the Marvel comic universe, which was actually a being called He Who Remains.
Right.
So He Who Remains, we had Harry Chapin on our podcast. We have him on here a bunch, and he
The Ox King
threw out some solid theories, and he was real
close.
He was real close. So
real close on this.
We've been
give him props for that.
Yeah, you and I have been pulling for Kang. We've been pulling for it's got to be Kang. It's got to be Kang.
Got to be Kang.
Right, and then Harry took it one step further, and he said, "Well, what if
Kang?
Yeah, what if it's Immortus, which is Kang, kind of older version of Kang, who's decided to kind of give up his conquering days and enter into maintaining the timeline."
Yep.
So it's like. We see Immortus in the Earth X series, the Universe X series. He's in this future of the Marvel Universe where Kang has given up conquering. So he was like, what if it's Immortus? That would be crazy.
Because it's the end of time.
Right.
It's the end of time.
Right.
So this has to be him at the end of time.
Him
and
at
this
the end
is
of
where
his life.
I'm going to tell you right now, this is where time travel starts to mess with you.
Yeah.
Because what He Who Remains, let's dig into that first. Talk to us about He Who Remains.
Okay.
Because it's not Immortus.
Right, it's not.
It's technically
real
not
close.
Immortus. It's really close.
Yeah.
But talk to me about He Who Remains.
Okay, so real quick, though. So Immortus creates this thing called the Church of Immortus, where he gets a bunch of followers that are about maintaining proper time.
Right.
Okay, so Harry had brought that theory that maybe this was an older Kang.
Right.
And it turns out it's this guy called He Who Remains. And He Who Remains in the comics is an alien being who has lived millennia, who eventually creates from the cosmos the Timekeepers to help maintain the TVA. And he creates 4 different Timekeepers.
That's right, 4.
He creates 4, right? We've only ever seen statues of 3 at the TVA in this series.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time we saw 4. And so in the comics, he created 4. And then at one point, the 4th Timekeeper ends up trying to do things his own way and do things kind of outside of what He Who Remains decreed the best. And so he ends up banishing that 4th Timekeeper into ancient Egypt.
Right.
All right. So I'm assuming that, they might dig in, now that we know it's season 2, they might dig into it more. But I'm assuming that was just a little nod to those eagle-eyed fans who are going to look and say, oh, there were who probably were more fans than we were, and at the beginning of the series, we're like, "Why are there only 3 Timekeepers? What's going on? There's supposed to be 4." Right, and then they're like, oh, no, we know there were 4, but remember one was banished, and this breaking of the statue is kind of alluding to that. That's what I'm assuming.
So
anyway.
you had to dig really deep into archives on this and really like get an understanding of like He Who Remains is an actual
is his own character that's
within
not
the
Kang.
MCU.
Right.
That is not Kang. However, Immortus is Kang at the end of time, who gives up conquering to be able to manage the timeline at the end of time.
Yes, and the bigger difference though, and the filmmakers have zeroed in obviously on this He Who Remains comic character.
Right.
The biggest difference is that Immortus and the Church of Immortus goes everywhere.
Right.
And he has followers either. And He Who Remains isolates himself within the Citadel at the end of time.
Exactly.
And he's there. And so that's why this isn't quite Immortus.
But it seems
so
like
close.
It seems like, and this is what I want to say, this is where it goes to you. When we get the reveal that it is
elevator
He
doors
Who
open.
Remains.
Yep.
And it honestly, it's like, it seems like it's a bit of a letdown. But if you have done any research into Ant-Man 3, or if you have done any research,
or if you're a Jonathan Majors fan,
you know the second those doors opened and it was Jonathan Majors, you know that's Kang.
Oh man, I was popping out my seat, man. I was jumping.
You knew it the second you saw him.
Yeah, man.
And the thing that was so wonderful about him was he was so nonchalant.
Oh man, he's seen it all.
He had seen it all.
Nothing amuses him
knows
anymore.
what's coming up. There's no surprises to him.
Oh, he's great.
He's just like, come with me.
Yeah. Let's talk in my office.
Let's talk in my office,
Yo,
right?
He's so great.
But so I want to pause there for a second because I want to be clear.
Right.
They did not just take straight up He Who Remains and follow that comic source material.
Yep.
And they did not ignore Immortus and not do that source material.
Yes.
What they really have done here is they've merged
Immortus
They've
meshed them.
And He Who Remains.
Agreed.
Because Immortus would be still out there throughout all time.
Yes.
With the Church of Immortus.
Yes.
But instead, and we even get this reveal, they never say Kang or Immortus at any time in this episode.
Right.
But what they do say is Jonathan Majors, his character, He Who Remains, says, I've been called many things throughout time.
Yep.
And the one thing he says that's really important is he's been called Conqueror.
Yeah, a conqueror.
So we know that he is Kang.
He's Kang.
We know that his final form of Kang is Immortus at the end of time.
Sure.
But they took some of those pieces from He Who Remains, and they really focused on the Citadel at the end of time, secluding himself there, managing the sacred timeline,
creating the timekeepers,
creation
the
of the TVA and the timekeepers. They pulled all of those pieces from He Who Remains character and source material, and they gave it really to Immortus at the end of time.
Yeah, so Harry,
big props.
We still think you're right.
Big props.
We still think you're right.
I believe you are right.
Yeah.
Even though it's based off of a different character, my point here is they merged Kang, Immortus, and He Who Remains. They made it Immortus, He Who Remains at the end of time.
Yeah, the closest version of Kang at there would be Immortus.
This is where it gets super confusing with time travel.
Oh, I love it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I love it. Well, so
we get down to the office.
Kang starts to divulge, right? I
right.
love it. So this is the one time in superhero villainry where monologuing isn't going to get him in trouble.
No.
This is exactly what he wants to do. He's not distracted.
He's got all the time in the world,
He wants to do this. He wants to do this, and he wants it to, in all honesty, in my opinion, he wants it to end. He's been doing this for so long. He's just done.
Tired.
He's ready for the next thing, right? Which is he calls reincarnation, because he'll be back. His variant will be
clear
back.
after he goes through everything with the Lokis.
Yeah.
There are two things that can happen here.
Right.
You either take over.
Right.
And I'm free. Or you kill me.
Yep.
And I'm right back here anyways.
And I do it again.
And I do it again.
Because
so what he reveals to the Lokis is that him in his version, his variant self from the 31st century discovers that there are multiverses layered upon each other.
Yes.
Multiple universes.
Yeah.
And at that exact same time, other variants of himself in those other universes are discovering the exact same thing.
Right.
And so they developed technology to be able to cross over those universes to be able to meet each other.
Yeah.
And to be able to see those other universes. Now, what he also shares, though, is there's a period of peace and prosperity where they're sharing technology.
Yeah.
They're helping technology. They're sharing technology. They're sharing knowledge. They're sharing different innovations together.
I like technology.
I mean, it works.
That.
It works
because it's knowledge and technology together.
Again,
what
just
do you?
like, just
what
like,
do you?
I'm merging a
what
lot.
What are you
tonight.
from the
I'm
31st century or something?
Well, I mean, I am the supreme variant.
Oh no!
So, but my point here is
there was a time of peace.
And then there were some variants.
The multiversal war.
We're not about variant.
No.
We're not about peace.
No. So
we're about straight up war.
So before we get to the conquering aspect of Kang, because he gives a whole background of himself, he mentions the 31st century. He mentions himself being a scientist,
right?
Which
and that's
ties
important.
us to the version of Kang in the comics, who is a descendant of Reed Richards called Nathaniel Richards. So I'm assuming this is going to be a version of Nathaniel Richards. I mean, it's a ridiculously long time removed.
We are dancing all around Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah,
they're
coming.
TV shows.
They announced Fantastic Four.
I know they are
They're coming.
But they are tying in a lot to Fantastic Four.
Yeah, well,
they are putting a lot of. There's a lot of second or third references.
Here's the deal.
Fantastic Four.
Here's
throughout
the deal.
These TV shows.
If Kang ends up being, which I think he will be, if he ends up being the big bad of Phase 4,
he's got to be.
And like Thanos spanned phases,
right?
So like he might even go into Phase 5.
Sure,
they can easily start. The Fantastic Four movie could be them coming to help because Reed Richards has figured out he's his descendant. Like,
I'm going to say something now.
It could be something like that.
I'm gonna put something out there now as a bold statement.
Let's hear it.
He's going to be
2021. Logan saying this.
Kang is going to be the villain, the big bad over multiple phases.
Okay,
it has to be. Hear me out.
I think so too. Yeah.
Our Phase 4 movies.
Yes,
we know some of them are going to probably address this to an extent. We
know Multiverse of Madness
and Ant-Man.
Ant-Man, and maybe the Eternals.
Maybe the Eternals.
Well, we don't know.
Okay, we don't know. But my point here is we also know there's several others that are not addressing it at all.
Sure.
Black Widow, we know, no
address it.
Yeah. Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi
not going to address it.
Not,
it's going to be addressing it's an origin story for Shang-Chi.
And it's addressing the real Mandarin.
Right.
That's the
big
bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we might get a little teaser at the end like we do with Thanos at the end of episodes.
Sure.
But the main thing is
And
Mandarin.
The other point here that I want to make is this episode showed the true power of Kang.
Yo.
Thanos is nothing.
There's nothing to him.
Nothing.
He's laughable.
He is a breath, a sneeze, a cough.
Yeah.
To Kang.
Well,
here.
he even offered Loki the Infinity Gauntlet. He was like, if you want it,
yeah,
sure,
you got it.
You got it. Why not?
I don't care. Well, I'll insert you back in here and figure it out.
Yeah, he told Miss Minutes to tell them. He was like, you want to kill Thanos?
Yeah.
You can kill Thanos.
You can kill Thanos.
You want to have Asgard? You can have Asgard. You want
the Infinity
Gauntlet? You can have it.
Rule.
Yeah. It's like, what?
Right. Nothing. So
yeah.
Thanos means nothing.
Yeah, he's an ant at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my point here is they cannot solve Kang
in one phase. You're right. I completely agree.
They have to, one, rebuild the new Avengers, whatever that's going to look like, and two, then build up him being as bad as he's going to be.
Okay, so here is. So let's get to this real quick. So let's. So that feeds really nicely into a question I have for you, which I want to know if you what you think about this. So we get the there's kind of the scientists altruistic sharing Kangs, and then and then there becomes the conquering Kangs who end up having a multiversal war, and then the one we see at the end, He Who Remains, is the Kang who took both the scientific discovery and the ferocity, tamed Alioth, took out all the other variants, and set up the timeline, right?
Yep.
So now the end of the episode, it ends with Sylvie killing him,
right,
and unleashing the different branches, right? So the timeline's now askew. The sacred timeline doesn't exist anymore. It's all branched everywhere.
It is branched out. It is the great fear that the Ancient One spoke of.
Yes, exactly. That everything would just go to darkness.
In Endgame.
Yeah. And so she sends Loki back to the TVA, right?
Yes.
But Loki appears in a TVA that's not his TVA, not the TVA he knows.
Right.
So that begs the question then.
Nobody knows him there.
No. But so what? Where do all the other Phase 4 movies take place?
That is a really great question.
Because the sacred timeline is no longer there.
Yeah.
So the 616 timeline, the timeline that we've been in with the MCU, doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
So in other words, is Shang-Chi going to take place in a different timeline than the Eternals?
Could.
And a different timeline than Spider-Man?
Sure.
And so we look at like the Eternals trailer.
Right.
And they're saying we haven't interfered until this time.
Until this time,
right?
yeah.
And so maybe the timeline we're following in the Eternals, the stuff that they should have interfered in on Earth didn't happen in their timeline.
Right.
Maybe it's something new. Like it opens up so many possibilities now that they could all be from different spots.
Yeah, this isn't a simple question to answer.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of things to talk about there.
Yeah.
Number one, we know multiple movies are going to be addressing this. Okay?
Yes.
So I believe in multiple movies we're going to be looking at multiple timelines. So we know Multiverse of Madness, obvious.
Right, for sure.
Doctor Strange is going to be moving across
and
timeline after timeline after timeline.
Most likely Spider-Man.
I was about to say that.
Because Benedict Cumberbatch and Wong are both confirmed for that.
Not just that. We know that there are multiple Spider-Mans.
Right.
We know that there are villains who previously
from other dimensions,
from other
timelines,
from the Raimi's movies.
Sam Raimi's. Yep.
We are coming back. Like we know.
Was it Mark Webb? Who did the Andrew Garfield one? I don't remember.
So let's just call it
Andrew Garfield's one.
Yeah.
Who cares about that director?
But my point
they're going to be coming all
Spider-Man. We know for sure is going to have a lot of crossover. It's going to have a lot of different addressing of these dimensions. So, the question here?
Yeah,
the way that he referred to the dimensions, I think, is going to be important.
The way that Kang referred to the dimensions?
The way that Kang referred
you mean
to
as
dimensions.
layers?
They're layers.
Yes,
okay?
They're like a cake.
And so we saw it as branches. Okay.
Right. Yes.
So we saw it as a loop and all these branches that came off of it.
For him, it's all going at the same time.
However, hear me out on this.
Yeah.
Okay. The branches are just nexus events that cause a new universe, a new universe to form. Okay.
Right.
So the branches are not actually the other universes. They just cause another universe to form.
So in other words, on the TVA screen, once they hit that red line, then they become a new universe.
That's a new universe.
And they're going to be parallel
and
to our universe.
all parallel and layered on each other.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Yeah.
So what I think is going to be important here is recognizing that you will be able to potentially cross over into different multiverses.
America Chavez.
Right.
She's going to kick her way through dimensions,
we
man.
know that.
Yeah.
However, not everyone is going to be able to travel to different time periods on other universes. So my point being, like,
you're right.
You can travel to
dimension to
dimension,
but it's the same
but
date.
It's the same year.
Yeah.
It's the same time period.
Yeah, you're right.
And so that's my point with that, because they're parallel.
Yeah.
Kang was able to manipulate, and the TVA were able to manipulate the timeline and go to different places on the timeline.
Yes.
But this then goes back to, where is the TVA? Like, this goes back to TVA existing outside of time.
Well, it definitely does, because we saw Ravonna and Mobius claim to be friends for eons.
But this is why everything becomes a mess as soon as you introduce time travel, because your question itself is going to lend itself to being one of the most confusing questions people are going to deal with.
I like it.
Is like my assumption, my immediate response to you was going to be like, well, Shang-Chi, I believe, is still going to take part in the normal universe.
Because that universe is still there.
Yeah,
it's still moving.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem.
Right.
Abomination's there.
Right. Well,
Abomination has no reason to be in that movie.
I was also going to pick out, and Wong is there, which means that if Wong's there, Strange might be there, which means there might be more time travel too.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think
exactly.
So,
or
this is your favorite day ever.
This is my
This is your favorite day because every movie is now going to involve time travel. Every single movie.
You have to be careful. No, because I want to correct you on something.
Right.
I believe there is a difference between interdimensional travel
agreed.
and time travel.
Agreed.
So my point here is Strange, I believe, is going to be a being. Now, and here's part of the reason.
Yeah.
His Infinity Stone allows him to manipulate time.
Time, yes.
He, using the Infinity Stone, will be able to move through time on any dimension that he's in. But not everyone.
Not between dimensions.
No, I do believe that. I do believe.
I don't think so. I think that's why America Chavez is in his movie.
Maybe.
She's going to take him, so he can go by time, she can go by dimensions.
We saw him go through space and time and multiple dimensions. We saw him in
the
first
That's true.
one.
He went to the dark. Well, no. But the only way he got to the dark dimension was because Dormammu opened it. Dormammu ripped open dimensions.
No, we saw him fly through other dimensions because of the Ancient One.
Yes, the Ancient One sent him through.
No, but the Ancient One sent him through several dimensions before even going to Dormammu's
Yeah, but
dimension.
she did that. She didn't do that with the Infinity Stone. She did that with her power. So I don't think he's going to be there yet.
He becomes Sorcerer Supreme.
I know he'll eventually.
He's got to become Sorcerer Supreme.
Well, yes. So I would say if he's Sorcerer Supreme by the next movie,
right?
Then yes.
So my point with this is, I believe he's going to be the only one,
who can
one
take
of the only ones
through.
who can actually go. Not just across dimensions, but across time.
We had a toy reveal of Spider-Man in a Doctor Strange suit. Like he had Sorcerer Supreme symbols all over his suit. So maybe they work together and create interdimensional suits.
Maybe. And my point here is your question is not simply answered.
No, and I wasn't expecting it to be. I just wanted to get your feelings on it. Are you a fan of interdimensional?
No, I'm not a fan of any of this.
Well, I know you're not a fan of time travel, but you said interdimensional is very different. Are you okay with interdimensional stuff?
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to be okay with interdimensional stuff for a short period of time.
Willem Dafoe time.
Well, I will. If it brings me back Willem Dafoe, I'm going to like it a little bit.
Okay, a little bit more.
But here's my point.
Yeah.
If they string this out and they now start doing movies in different dimensions and we have to figure out and we're going to have to
flow charts.
A flow chart
and
a tracker.
Yes, I see no problem.
I see
no problem.
Oh,
We've got wall space.
I hate it. If that is the case, I don't like it.
Okay.
Now, do I like it for Doctor Strange's movie? Do I like it for maybe a phase? Maybe a phase. I would even give it
the
whole
phase
where they are working to correct the timeline.
Well, you know what?
I will give it a whole phase.
They could. So the whole phase 4 could be them jumping dimensions looking for Kang.
You're right.
And then all of phase 5 could take place on Chronopolis or take place, in Kang City.
Yeah.
They could find him and spend the rest of the phase kind of, well,
I don't know if they're going to do a whole phase there, but
they could bring in the contest.
Infinity War Endgame 2 movie setup similar to that.
They could bring in the Contest of Champions storyline and have him capture them and bring them through different adventures within dimensions. That'd be sick.
That. Yeah, but I agree with you, but again, I think that's a 2-movie deal, not an entire phase built on that.
Yeah. Probably.
I think that's too much for an entire phase. But
probably.
I will give all of
phase 4 to
time travel, interdimensional travel, sorting that out. But
all right, Kevin Feige, you heard it, man.
If they do more than that, it's not just me. It'll get confusing. Don't get me. No, hear me. Come on.
But listen,
it will get overly confusing.
It's going to keep us in business.
No,
we're going to be sitting here. They're going to come to us, man. We're going to.
Oh my god.
Here's what's going to happen. We're going to come. I'm going to come down one day, and you're going to have scratched in this whole table all the different lines. I figured it out.
Yeah.
I have it.
Yeah.
It's right here. He's here.
It's going to be me being Charlie Day. Can we talk about the mail? Can we talk about the mail?
No, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get chalkboard it down here, and we're going to start drawing out diagrams.
But in all seriousness here, they have to bring it back together at some point.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you can't have all of these movies existing in different
dimensions.
In different dimensions.
Yeah.
You can't do that. It's not going to work. You want to see your heroes working together, not across different dimensions.
And that has been the beauty of it.
Even if you have to do a handoff at some point where it's goodbye, see ya, see you never, and you send certain heroes away that way and never see them again.
Well, it might be.
That's fun.
I would say it might be the other way, where it's like we need help with the Kang problem, and we pull a hero from another dimension. Now that we have these layered dimensions around us, let's get somebody like Doctor Strange or America Chavez. Let's kick our way into this dimension, pull a hero that we need to our timeline, and then or our dimension, and then work from that.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
Yeah.
But then it's got to be at the end of Kang.
Yeah.
Is the end of where we have these interdimensional timeline messing mistakes and everything.
Spider-Man Noir, played by Nicolas Cage, pulled from a dimension. What do you think?
If live action?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, all right.
All day, every day.
All day, every day.
Twice on Sundays.
Yeah.
Did you see Nick Cage's Pig is currently...
Yeah, it's like 97%.
93%.
Or 93%.
No, 90... I'm sorry, you're right.
I think it was
97% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. His new movie, Pig.
Yeah, it's
97%.
I'm gonna say COVID skewing.
No.
Oscar.
It's Oscar time.
We've all gotten.
This is his bounce back film, sir.
We've all gotten to the
I don't know how you
level.
bounce back if you've never left.
No. All right, so Loki has ended. We've got a season 2 coming at some point. We've got so many more questions, but we got to see Jonathan Majors as Kang, and man, was he good. And Sylvie and Loki are still out there.
He was scary good. And his intonation, his pitch, his delivery, his cadence, everything was
he's
phenomenal.
A mastermind.
Everything was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And, no fear in death at the end because he only knows it's going to.
I love how excited
replay.
he got. He got excited because he didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
Like he's like, this is new. Like when the thunder would rumble and he was like, he was just like, I didn't know that was going to happen.
Well, he has
so cool.
If you know what's coming next, you have no opportunity for surprise. That is
right. Or excitement.
People believe I would love to be able to see the future. If you see the future, again, this goes back to Dune. If you see the future, you become locked into it.
Yeah.
And then you do not have any surprises to it.
Yeah.
And that is a very boring life.
Yeah.
And that's what I think he came to
got
realize.
Bored with it. Yeah.
He got bored with the life he chose and was leading.
Last thing.
Yes.
Ravonna leaves.
Yes.
She opens up a temp pad after she has looked over the information that Miss Minutes brought her from Kang.
From Kang.
Right.
We believe it's from Kang. I mean,
she said, unless
she works with Kang.
Unless she's pulling all the strings.
Unless she's pulling all the strings. Miss Minutes at the end of time.
On that. Always. So she gets a message from Kang.
Right.
Mobius comes in, confronts her. She has a chance to prune him again. She leaves him alive, she goes to leave. And he asks, where are you going? And she says, in pursuit of free will.
Right.
Now, earlier in that conversation, he talks about the crime of taking free will away.
Right.
She claims that free will is an illusion. No one has it except for the one in charge.
Yep.
Which we believe is Kang.
Right.
She believes is Kang. I mean, she doesn't know it's Kang, but she believes
know it's Kang, clearly
it's
at
somebody.
This point. Yeah.
And so I'm assuming she's looking for her.
Has to be looking for Kang. Like, I mean, if we go to the comics and we look at source material.
Right.
She's
going to get into a relationship with him.
She's going to get into a relationship with Kang.
And then have a falling out with him.
Kang.
And then sick the Avengers on him. That's what she does in the comics.
Right.
So
but
we'll see.
My point is, I believe she's going to look for Kang.
Yes.
And he's probably sent her a note of some sort, knowing that there was a chance he was going to die.
Right.
And where to go and find him.
Yeah, and maybe to help him start the TVA.
Yeah, exactly.
Or convince him to start the TVA.
Give him information.
If he's younger, he's going to be on his conquery phase.
Yep. Yeah. So I think she's going to 3100.
Yeah, that's right. The 31st century.
31st century. I think that's where she's going.
Probably
to meet him and
cool.
to maybe get in early with him.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like if she was the inspiration for the TVA.
Yeah.
Like, and again, that's where time travel is cool, because it's like, well, she's the inspiration for the TVA.
But she wasn't originally the inspiration.
She was sent. No, but maybe she was.
But that's that's the point.
That's what I love.
Beginning point.
Yes.
She couldn't be.
No, because
there had to be a first time we passed that time.
Right. But
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. But so she's the inspiration, but he sent her, so he's the inspiration. But she tells him, and now she's the inspiration.
He came up with it the first time. This is ridiculous. This is why I hate time travel.
But now he didn't. Now he didn't because he sent her back.
No, I hate it. It's wrong.
Well, you didn't hate the series.
I didn't hate the series.
You loved the series. It was a great series.
I love the series. It was a great series. They didn't, but that's also because they really didn't hang on time travel.
No, they didn't. It was really more fun about jumping to dimensions and finding
now
Kang.
It is though. But now it's opening up dimensions and time travel. So now it's going to make my life worse.
Oh, it's going to make your life wonderful.
I mean, I'm going to love the movies, but like the actual trying to think through where the heck we are at different times in movies like how you're going to track with it is going to be nuts, man.
Don't worry. I'll do the research. You do the yelling.
I know that, but what if this would be terrible?
Yeah.
What if Kevin Feige had this grand plan? What if he was Kang-like, had this grand plan of like, I'm going to set up this Marvel universe.
Yes.
I'm going to do a really great job. I'm going to get everybody bought in.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to go absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a whole bunch of crazy stuff that nobody's going to understand at all.
But we're just going to love it.
Well, I mean, at this point, we're just turning over money to him.
We're just bought in.
We're so deeply bought in.
You know what would be worse? If he just stopped making them. Like, well, I don't want to make any more.
Right.
It's like, wait.
Who's coming in?
How
Who is killing you?
All right, well, we cannot wait for the next Disney Plus series.
That's right.
I think it's Hawkeye coming up next.
Yeah, we're looking forward to being able to talk about that next one.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll be as good as this one.
Yes, it better be.
It better be.
Thanks for listening to the Legion of Comic Correction. Don't forget to check out our other episodes streaming everywhere you listen to podcasts. We're also on the major social platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search Legion of Comic Correction.
That's right. And make sure to check out our Patreon for exclusive supporter specials at patreon.com/Legion of CC. New episodes come out every Monday.
And Wednesdays.
No, just Mondays.
And Wednesdays?
I don't think we can do Wednesdays.
We can do Wednesdays.
All right, Mondays and Wednesdays. We'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place, same Legion.